The air in Paris is thick with smoke, not the romantic haze of a movie scene, but the acrid, stinging smell of tear gas and burning barricades. The city, once celebrated for its beauty and light, is now shrouded in a suffocating cloud, a symbol of the turmoil gripping the nation. Sirens wail through the grand boulevards, echoing off the centuries-old stone buildings that have witnessed revolutions and wars. The flashing blue lights of emergency vehicles cut through the darkness, illuminating faces filled with fear, anger, and uncertainty. Thousands of protesters clash with riot police on the Champs-Élysées, a street once known for its elegance, now transformed into a battlefield. The sound of shouting, the thud of boots, and the crack of batons fill the air as the city's most iconic avenue becomes a stage for confrontation. Broken glass crunches underfoot, a testament to the chaos that has swept through the streets. Shattered shopfronts and overturned cars mark the aftermath of nights filled with rage and desperation. This is not a single protest over a single issue. Instead, it is a convergence of grievances, economic hardship, political disillusionment, and a deep sense of injustice, drawing together people from every corner of society. It's the eruption of a crisis simmering for years, fueled by rising inequality, stagnant wages, and a growing disconnect between the rulers and the ruled. The tension in the air is palpable, as if the city itself is holding its breath. People from all walks of life are on the streets: students, workers, retirees, immigrants, united by a shared sense of betrayal. Their differences fade as they march side by side, demanding to be heard. They feel their government has failed them, believing the system is rigged against the ordinary citizen. The anger is not just about policies, but about a broken promise that the Republic would protect and provide for its people. This is more than a political disagreement. It's a profound loss of faith in the French Republic itself. The faces in the crowd reflect not just anger but heartbreak, a sense that something precious has been lost. The social contract, once the foundation of French society, feels torn to shreds. The symbols of unity and fraternity are now battered and frayed, fluttering uncertainly in the smoky air. Every attempt at reform is met with resistance, as trust between the people and their leaders has all but vanished. Each new proposal is seen not as a solution, but as another threat to a way of life already under siege. The government insists that changes are needed to save the economy, to keep France competitive in a changing world. But the people fear these changes will destroy their livelihoods, their communities, and the very fabric of their society. The result is a dangerous stalemate, with neither side willing to back down. The streets become a chessboard, each move met with a counter-move, as tension escalates with every passing day. The cycle of protest and paralysis has gripped France, making it almost ungovernable. Barricades block the way to power, and the halls of government echo with uncertainty and fear. The world watches, transfixed and anxious, wondering how a major Western power, long seen as a pillar of democracy and stability, could find itself in such turmoil. Headlines around the globe ask, what went wrong in France? The images of chaos are a stark warning of deeper decay. Fires rage not just in the streets, but in the hearts of the people, burning away hope and trust. France, the heart of Europe, prided on its stability, culture, and revolutionary spirit, now finds itself fighting to defend a social model under threat. The very landmarks that once symbolized unity now serve as backdrops to division. The fires on the streets of Paris are a manifestation of a country burning through its future. Each flame, a cry for help, a demand for change, and a warning of what may come if the crisis is not resolved. The question is no longer if the system will break, but when. The foundations of the Republic tremble, and time seems to be running out for meaningful reform. And what happens to the rest of the world when it does? France's fate is not isolated. Its unraveling sends shockwaves across Europe and beyond, raising fears of instability in other democracies. The stakes are high, and the world is watching. Every development is scrutinized, every escalation analyzed, as leaders and citizens everywhere wonder if their own nations could be next. France's struggle is a global concern. The unrest inspires movements elsewhere, as people see their own frustrations reflected in the streets of Paris. The unraveling of a nation is a warning to all. It is a reminder that even the strongest societies are fragile, and that the bonds holding them together must be protected, renewed, and never taken for granted. Beneath the street battles that capture the world's attention, with images of chaos and confrontation filling the news, lies a crisis with deep roots, one that goes far beyond the visible unrest. It's a crisis that touches every layer of French society, from the bustling cities to the quiet suburbs, leaving many citizens feeling anxious and uncertain about the future. France faces a systemic breakdown, caught in a web of political deadlock, economic stagnation, and crushing debt that has built up over decades. Successive governments, regardless of their political leanings, have often avoided making the tough decisions, hoping that economic growth would eventually solve their mounting problems. But that growth never truly arrived. Instead, the problems festered and deepened, leaving entire communities behind and fueling frustration among the population. The political system is now paralyzed, with a fragmented opposition and little consensus on how to move forward. The French economy, once a powerhouse admired across Europe, now shows serious signs of decay. Unemployment remains stubbornly high, especially among the youth, and once thriving industries are losing their competitive edge. The trade deficit continues to widen, as exports falter and imports rise, putting further strain on the nation's finances. Public spending now accounts for nearly 60% of economic output, creating a structural deficit that is difficult to reverse. To fill the ever-growing gap, the government borrows more and more, piling debt upon debt and raising concerns about long-term sustainability. This creates a vicious cycle. A weak economy leads to lower tax revenues, which in turn forces more borrowing, deepening the crisis. Attempts to fix the budget or reform the system trigger massive protests as citizens fear losing hard-won benefits, leading to even greater political gridlock. The government is trapped, unable to change course or implement meaningful reforms, as every move is met with fierce resistance. The crisis is more than just protests in the streets. It's a systemic failure that threatens the very fabric of the nation. France's challenges are not isolated. They serve as a warning to other nations facing similar pressures. The nation must find a way forward, forging unity and vision, or risk falling into even deeper turmoil and division. The stakes are high, and the world is watching closely, aware that what happens in France could have ripple effects far beyond its borders. France's struggle is not just a national issue, it's a global concern, with implications for the entire international community. The unraveling of a nation is a warning to all. When deep-rooted problems are left unaddressed, the consequences can be profound and far-reaching. The crisis unfolding in France is not just a national issue, it's a European problem with far-reaching consequences. France, as the second-largest economy in the Eurozone, is deeply intertwined with its neighbors through trade, finance, and shared policies. The stability and future of the entire European project relies heavily on a stable and prosperous France at its core. What happens in Paris doesn't stay in Paris. Every political or economic shock sends ripples and sometimes shockwaves across the continent. France is not just another domino in the line, it's a pillar holding up the entire European structure. If it falters, the consequences could be devastating. A French default or a deep, prolonged recession would be catastrophic, not only for France, but for all of Europe. Such a crisis could trigger a financial panic even greater than the Greek debt crisis, threatening banks, jobs, and savings across the Eurozone. The Euro's stability depends on fiscal discipline and trust, especially from major economies like France. If France stumbles, the euro itself is at risk. A crisis in France threatens the very survival of the euro, shaking confidence in the currency and the union. Political instability in France is a direct threat to the European Union's unity and effectiveness. Populist movements in France are gaining ground, openly challenging the idea of European integration and cooperation. If a Frexit scenario were to unfold, it could trigger a chain reaction, potentially leading to the disintegration of the EU itself. France's crisis is not just a local problem, it's a warning sign for all of Europe, highlighting vulnerabilities that could affect everyone. The stakes are incredibly high, and the entire world is watching Europe's response, knowing that the outcome will have global repercussions. The unraveling of a nation is a stark warning to all, reminding us that even the strongest pillars can fall if left unprotected. France's national debt stands at over 3 trillion euros, more than its annual economic output. Decades of borrowing have created a massive debt burden. Interest payments are projected to surpass the education budget by 2025. This diverts funds from productive investments, A large portion of the debt is held by foreign investors, making France vulnerable. A spike in borrowing costs would force drastic cuts to public services. To reduce debt, France needs strong economic growth. But high debt stifles growth and creates uncertainty. Austerity measures are politically explosive and harm growth. The path to fiscal sustainability is narrow and treacherous. France's debt bomb is ticking. The stakes are high, and the world is watching. France's generous welfare system is a cornerstone of its society. It provides high-quality healthcare, free education, and generous pensions, but this system was designed in a different era. Today, it's incredibly expensive to maintain. The costs of healthcare, pensions, and benefits are soaring. The pension system is running a massive deficit. Attempts to reform it face crippling strikes and protests. The healthcare system is one of the most expensive in the world. Rising demand for care is not met with increased funding. The government is caught in an impossible position. France is trapped, unable to afford its social model. The stakes are high, and the world is watching. France is getting older, reshaping the country and straining its economic model. The post-war baby boom generation is entering retirement, creating a demographic imbalance. The ratio of workers to pensioners is unsustainable. An older population means soaring healthcare costs. The workforce is shrinking, reducing the tax base. France is caught in a demographic trap. Its social promises are impossible to keep. The stakes are high, and the world is watching. The unraveling of a nation is a warning to all. France benefited from an era of ultra-cheap money. Low interest rates masked the pain of economic problems. The government could borrow without immediate consequences. But that era is over. The ECB has raised interest rates, exposing France's financial pain. The cost of borrowing has shot up, impacting the national budget. France's debt is now an acute crisis. The government must control spending and stabilize debt, but painful reforms face public rejection. The end of easy money exposes France's fragility. The stakes are high, and the world is watching. The unraveling of a nation is a warning to all. France's crisis is political as much as economic. The country is in political gridlock. President Macron lacks a majority to pass reforms. Street protests and strikes are central to the political process. The political landscape is deeply fractured. There is no national consensus on the way forward. France appears ungovernable. The stakes are high and the world is watching. The unraveling of a nation is a warning to all. If France falls, it will not fall alone. A French debt crisis would trigger a financial meltdown. The euro would be the first victim. Contagion would spread to other Eurozone countries. The ECB faces an impossible choice. A European banking collapse would trigger a global recession. The global economy is deeply interconnected. The crisis in France is the most significant threat to global stability. The world has underestimated France's problems. The fuse has been lit in Paris. The stakes are high, and the world is watching. The unraveling of a nation is a warning to all.